The independent film business is tough, and it can look pretty damn bleak. I suppose it can often be easier to just say, it's too tough. And I can't argue that it's tough, that the odds aren't against you. But what I can argue with 100% certainty is if you don't play, you absolutely won't win. I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money. This is how. Someone recently slid into my DMs and basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that with my channel, I'm giving too many indie filmmakers false hope. That my tips and methodologies are only working for me, if what I'm saying is even true at all. And then they went on to say that there is in fact no way for other filmmakers to make any kind of real money on super low budget indie films. They brought up things like oversaturation of the market and low production quality were brought up as reasons. And honestly, there's some truth to that. Market oversaturation has affected what indie movies earn. The overall value of films in general, unless you're talking studio level blockbusters, has went down over the last few years. And this has made profiting from these types of indie films much tougher. I cannot argue with any of that, but indie film is far from dead. There are still enough filmmakers making money at this level that it's not just outliers or luck. This person went on to state that I only switched to making documentaries because I could no longer make money with narratives. And there's a little bit of truth to that. I believe I've even said as much in a video or two. But it's a little more complicated than that too. Truth is, I transitioned into documentaries not because it was impossible to make money with narratives, but straight up, docs were just easier, at least for me. And that's the main reason I switched. And now, maybe that makes me lazy, but it doesn't make profiting from narratives impossible. And honestly, working on the docs, it gave me the space that I needed to think harder about my next narrative feature so that it could be more creatively and financially successful than my last one was, which led me to Craving, a horror feature that I just produced and directed with a budget just south of $100,000. But here's the thing about the documentaries. In the process of making them, I truly fell in love with doing it. I really like making documentaries. Now, I like making narrative features too, and even if Craving is a huge hit and millions of dollars are dropped into my lap for a slate of narratives, I'd sure as shit make the narratives, but I would also continue to do documentaries. I'm not stopping doing documentaries. But let's address the real issue here, and there's just no candy coating this. In the business of independent film, most films fail, much more than they succeed. But there are plenty of ULB filmmakers out there right now that are making money with tiny budgeted narrative features. Budgets of $10,000 and $5,000 or $20,000 and less. And some of these movies are making over six figures a year. Sure, just like at every other budget level, more of these fail than succeed. I can't argue that. But there are many out there that are making a go of it, a good go. And this train of thought holds true whether you're making a $50,000 movie, a $5,000 movie, or a $500,000 movie. You can use the exact same marketing and distribution techniques that I talk about on this channel and that I use on a $3,000 documentary. You can use these same techniques on a $50,000 narrative feature, and it can do well. It's not guaranteed. Yes, the odds are against you, but you can still do it, which is why I keep doing these videos. And I'm just not talking out my ass here. I have personally directed over 20 narrative features, and add in all the documentaries that I've produced, and I've worked on over 70 features. And a good number of my narrative features did have budgets between $50,000 and $250,000. Not everything is no or super low budget. Like I mentioned above, Craving is close to $100,000. I've directed a $250,000 movie. I've done a lot of them between $50,000 and $75,000. I know exactly what it takes to pull these movies off and what you can do for that budget level. And I also know what those movies earned in the past and what they continue to earn. Now, it is true I haven't released a new narrative feature myself in a bit. Craving will be the first in almost 3 years, but almost every single one of the old ones that I have is still in the marketplace. They still earn, and I see new numbers on them monthly, and most of them are not dead in the market. Then in addition to all that, through this channel, my Facebook pages, and networking with different distributors and aggregators, I've seen numbers from more new movies than I can count. And granted, the overall numbers, the averages, they are discouraging. If you have 100 indie films, less than 50% are going to break even. Actually, a lot less than 50%. And less than half of those are really going to make any kind of real profit. And only about half the ones that make a profit are actually going to make good money. So yeah, maybe a 10% or less chance of making really good money. That's not so great. I fully admit that's a tough pill to swallow as an indie filmmaker. But is it worth giving up because of that? Hell no. Does it mean that putting out videos like this is a waste of time? No. Sure. Starting out, you have a very low chance of making good money on your indie feature. But it's not all doom and gloom either. If you concentrate on your audience, create a movie that delivers on what was promised, market it well, be ready to pivot if your marketing strategy doesn't work, and concentrate on finding alternative methods to make money off the movie. If you do all these things, your odds start to rise. Even though 2022 was, relatively speaking, a pretty rough year for me return-wise, I'm still personally operating at about a 70% success rate on my newer projects. Look, 4 years ago, I was shit at marketing. Any success that I had on earlier films was either blind luck or a producer that I was working with that did have the marketing on lock. But since I've started learning and instituting these marketing techniques, my life has changed. Even my older narrative films have seen bumps in earnings. Movies that had almost fallen completely off the map 5 years ago, movies that were earning less than $5 a month, are now making hundreds a month. And sure, that's not huge, but it's not nothing either. Moral of the story is, yes, the current indie film market is super tough, and it could get even tougher. But the only way you for sure won't earn with your movie is if you don't make it. I recently did an interview with Devin Bray, the director of PP Lone Gone. And Devin and other filmmakers like him are making movies outside the Hollywood system for very little money, and they are cleaning the up and helping other filmmakers along the way. So check out that interview here, but whatever you do, keep making movies.